Hi guys, my name's Catriona, and I'm going to be talking to you today about seeking psychics or tarot readers for spiritual guidance at the beginning of your spiritual awakening. So, when you first start going through a spiritual awakening, you may go through a phase where you're super confused. Actually, you for sure will go through a phase where you're super confused and you want to know what's going on and what will be, what your future looks like, what does it all mean? In my experience, I went through a major psychic slash tarot phase where I blew a good amount of money on the void of my uncertainty and needing to fill that void through answers outside of myself, which I later learned that we have all of the answers inside of ourselves, but this was an instrumental part of my journey. So just wanted to speak on it. A few things you may want to speak to a psychic about are potentially like a spiritual connection that you may have encountered that set off your spiritual awakening. You may want to talk about your daily life, your job, how you're getting fed up with, what's currently going on and like what your future may look like. Old relationships that are feeling stale, like they no longer serve you. You may want to know what's next, and you want support in making moves, and you want validation, which is totally understandable because at that point in time, you're kind of like the lone soldier setting off on a new journey. I just wanted to give a warning that if you're going around to any like local psychics or local psychic shops, to be very discerning, because if you ever come across a psychic who starts feeding you bullshit about how you have spells that have been cast on you or you have to pay them to remove a curse, you're dealing with a con artist and you should run the other way. Okay, so now because my awakening started with a false twin, which I didn't know at the time, but I was completely heartbroken from him. And I went from psychic to psychic, wanting to understand the heartbreak. There was a lot of synchronicities in our relationship that made me dive into the whole twin flame thing. And it turned out it was just a catalyst. But he put me through a lot of heartbreak, and that was the beginning of my spiritual awakening. But I wanted validation on him being my twin flame or whatever. I wanted to understand why he was putting me through so much heartbreak. I wanted to know how all the puzzle pieces were fitting together, and most of all, I wanted support, and I wanted validation. So I guess that you could liken this phase to what a lot of spiritual teachers call the dark night of the soul, and I see that as being like you being void of answers. Like you're kind of everything that you've built your life on is just crumbled because you realize that it wasn't built on truth, the truth that you are now experiencing. And so you feel like you're in the dark and you feel a bit lost, but that's another video subject. But that feeling lost, leads you to look for answers outside of yourself. In my case, this phase was really instrumental to my spiritual growth because over time I started to understand what and who was resonating with me. I started to be able to discern which psychics were inserting their own biases into my readings, and I was able to learn how to trust my intuition on who I wanted to read with. At that time, I wasn't surfing the web looking for general readings. I was going to in-person local psychic and crystal shops and just deciding by the list of names who I was going to speak with. And now there's a wealth of YouTube tarot readers, a lot of really amazing ones, and you have the opportunity to check out their general readings to get more of a vibe of their energy and see if it resonates with you. Which I think is really helpful, and I would recommend seeing someone through that avenue of familiarity over going through a service or shop to someone random. The in-person experience is fun though, and if you have someone, or if you feel called to see a certain someone, or if you have a friend that maybe recommended someone, then always do what you feel called to do, and that's a part of trusting your intuition. The biggest lesson in seeing psychics that you learn at the beginning of your awakening is that they don't have all the answers that you would kind of expect them to. And they can't predict the future. They're only reading into the energy of a situation and looking at possible outcomes. You'll also learn over time that most of the things that they tell you is just validation of what you already know. And validation can be so comforting during this time. So I'd say it is an instrumental part of the journey if you're called to seek them, because it really helps you develop your own psychic powers in a way, and definitely helps you develop your intuition and that deep gut knowing, which is going to carry you forward through your spiritual awakening. I still now see some psychics or tarot readers, intuitive guidance, astrology that resonates with me, but I'm not as desperate for someone else to show me the way like I was at the beginning of my journey, and that was totally okay. Through that, I learned so much self-empowerment, and it's all beautiful. Every step of the journey is beautiful, and it's all taking you to the promised land. So we can't really judge ourselves for any part of it. We have to be totally in acceptance, and in love of the journey and in love of ourselves, self-love. Um, so whatever you feel called to do, it's a part of your journey, and you need to follow that call, because it'll teach you the lessons or bring you to the right guidance that you need to find the next step forward. Yeah, so thanks for joining me, guys. If you like this video, please hit the like button, and if you would like more support along your journey of awakening, please subscribe. And also, you can follow me on Instagram. I'll put my handle below. I really appreciate you guys. Thanks. So much love and blessings.